I'm not saying that Barry's had only 3 boyfriends that have mysteriously been murdered. I only have found 3 of them. And then, and certainly Barry's had more than 3 boyfriends. He was never nearly that chaste. But if you want to talk about people who have mysteriously been murdered and they're unsolved crimes, and to this day the cases are still open, I have 3 of Barry's boyfriends' names, if you want me to share them with you.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so one boyfriend. Now these were all attendees of that Jeremiah Wright's church in Chicago.
Yeah,
there was a formal, informal knowledge amongst the congregation that there was what they called the Down Low Club.
Down Low.
What the Down Low Club was is that were men who wanted to appear to be straight, but wanted to still have the opportunity within a somewhat protected-like environment to hook up with other men. Now, one of the boyfriends that I have the most information on, his name is Donald Young. He was murdered December 23rd, 2007, in his apartment, of which there were no signs of forced entry. So it appears that Donald had opened the door
to somebody he knew.
Murdered him.
Yeah.
Now, what was I thought a little striking was that he died of multiple gunshot wounds, basically to the base, in his chest, and so it didn't look like hitman. You know what I mean? Like, because you can actually survive those kinds of injuries sometimes. So, you think if it
wasn't a high class professional job. In other words,
it just didn't appear, because you figure if the guy survives, you're going to, after you shoot him, you want to get out of there. If the guy survives, you're not even going to know if he winds up living until it's too late, and you can give some description.
I understand.
So now we have the second victim, Nate Spencer.
Nate
like
Spencer.
It sounds.
Yep.
Nate Spencer. And then the third victim is Larry Bland. That's with a B.
Yeah, Larry Bland.
I did not meet or see Barry Soetoro till about 1977. I was about late 13, 14 years old. And, during those years, during the summertime, we as neighborhood kids, we would sort of hang out, and we all sort of, knew each other's business and didn't really have anything to plug into. We pretty much hung out in Waikiki and at the beach and so forth. And I knew of this individual. His name was Barry Soetoro. And he always portrayed himself as a foreign student. And that didn't mean much to me then, but, that's just what we knew about him. And he wasn't really close within my particular circle of friends. He was a little bit older than me. And he very much was within sort of the gay community, which there is a thriving, even back then, gay community in that area, particularly the Diamond Head area. And we knew Barry as just common knowledge that, girls were never anything that he was ever interested in. And, as a young teenager, as a young girl, it was clear to me that Barry was strictly into men.
In a blockbuster revelation, Dr. Jerome Corsi with WND.com is reporting that Chicago's homosexual community claims that Barack Obama's participation in the gay bar and bathhouse scene in Chicago was so well known that many who were aware of his lifestyle were shocked when he ran for president and then finally won the White House. Kevin Dujan, who was a gossip columnist in Chicago for various blogs when Obama was living in the city as a community organizer and later as a state senator, said, "It was preposterous to the people I knew then to think that Obama was going to keep his gay lifestyle a secret. Nobody who knew Obama in the gay bar scene thought he could possibly be president." Dujan claims that he has first-hand information from 2 different sources that, quote, Obama was personally involved in the gay bar scene. Obama, Dujan said, is not heterosexual, he is not bisexual, he is homosexual. Investigative journalist Wayne Madsen, who worked with the National Security Agency from 1984 to 1988 as a Navy intelligence analyst, confirmed Dujan's claims. Quote, "It is common knowledge that in Chicago's gay community that Obama actively visited the gay bars and bathhouses in Chicago while he was an Illinois state senator."
Those who have direct knowledge of the forgery, there's a good chance that they will be murdered by other principals in this, because that's been their experience with people who have firsthand knowledge of either Obama's queerdom or his illegal activity. They seem to disappear and die.
And by the way, let me throw this out there, since you talked about people who've been murdered to protect Obama's past. First of all, I think we all know Lieutenant Quarrel Harris was murdered because he knew a little bit too much about Obama's passport records. At Reverend Wright's Trinity Church, we had a young homosexual named Larry Bland who was murdered on November 17th, 2007, execution style, multiple gunshot wounds. Then, a little over a month later, we have Donald Young, the choir director, murdered on December, I believe it was 23rd or 24th, 2007. His mother, Doug, goes to the Globe and says, "My son was murdered because of his gay relationship with Barack Obama." And the mainstream media says and does nothing. Ask yourself how a mother of a dead choir director at Obama's church can come forward and say, "My son was murdered because of his gay relationship with Barack Obama," and not one single damned major news agency picked it up.
On November 5th, 1999, I hired the services of Five Star Limousine. Excuse me. I had hired them both for November 5th and November 6th of 1999. On November 6, 1999, I asked the limo driver, whose name I now reveal for the first time, Jagir Paramit Mutani, if he knew anyone who would like to socialize and show me Chicago. Mr. Mutani understood that I was looking for someone who knew Chicago and would enjoy socializing. Mr. Mutani said he knew someone who was a friend of his. On November 6, 1999, after picking me up at the hotel in Gurney, and this is significant, Mr. Mutani used his cell phone to make a call. That call was made to then Illinois State Senator Barack Obama to set up an introduction between myself and Senator Obama. Upon arriving at the bar and exiting the limo, Senator Obama was standing next to Mr. Mutani, and I was introduced to Senator Obama by name. Later that evening, in a bar which I believe was called Allays, and I state believe because I have failed so far to get Citigroup to provide the credit card receipts that has the actual name. I mentioned I could use a line or two to wake up. Senator Obama asked me if I was referring to Coke, and I stated I was. After stating I was, Obama stated he could purchase cocaine for me and then made a telephone call. This too is significant, from a cell phone to a presently unknown individual, during which Senator Obama arranged the cocaine purchase. Senator Obama and I then departed the bar in my limousine and proceeded to an unknown location where Senator Obama exited the limousine with $250, which was provided to him by me. Returned a short while later with an 8-ball of cocaine, which he gave to me. I did ingest a couple of lines of cocaine, and shortly thereafter, Senator Obama produced a glass cylinder pipe and packet of crack cocaine from his pocket. Obama then smoked the crack cocaine. I performed fellatio on Senator Obama in the limousine during the time Senator Obama was smoking crack cocaine, after which I had the driver take me to my hotel, the Comfort Suites, Gurney, Illinois. The following day, November 7th, 1999, Senator Obama appeared at my hotel room, unannounced, uninvited, where we again ingested cocaine, and I again performed fellatio on Senator Obama. In mid to late October 2007, I received a second call from this Mr. Young, at which time I clearly became aware that this individual was personally involved with Senator Obama rather than just an employee of his campaign. The tone of the conversation had a sexual nature. Mr. Young did not once advise me how he obtained my phone number, which by this time had now changed to a Delaware number. In late October 2007, I received a text message from the gentleman identified as Mr. Young, in which he stated he was intimately involved with Senator Obama, and that Obama was discussing with him and his pastor how to publicly acknowledge Senator Obama's drug use in 1999. And that Obama wanted to be sure I had not discussed the sexual encounters or drug incidents with any media at that time. In mid to late November 2007, in another text message from Mr. Young, He advised me that Senator Obama will publicly correct his statement as to the last time he used drugs, and I did not need to concern myself with publicly disclosing it myself. The last contact I had with Mr. Young was in early December 2007, when he made it clear to me that Senator Obama had no intentions of publicly acknowledging his 1999 use of crack cocaine, and that Mr. Young was in fact doing nothing more than milking information from me for Senator Obama's use. I later learned that A. Donald Young, the choir director of Reverend Wright's Trinity United Church of Christ, Obama's now former church, and who was openly homosexual, learned that he was murdered on December 23rd of 2007.
Little Barry Soetoro was being pimped by his mother in Jakarta when he was 7 or 8 years old, and that's in, 1968. He then shows up in the Lahore Hilton, which is one of the hotels where, not the Lahore Hilton, but the Hilton chain, where this guy, Robert Deduca, was doing his pedophile blackmail. So it's highly probable that Barry Soetoro and his mother, Ann Dunham, were operating this child porn blackmail racket in the Lahore Hilton in 1981.
Jakarta International School. It's a CIA mind-controlled sex slave school. Obama, Barry Soetoro, he was a pupil at this school. That's, he's a mind-controlled sex slave. Barack Obama. He went to this school.
Under the watch of former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, diplomatic security agents in Lebanon sexually attacked guards, State Department contractors in Baghdad bought drugs from an underground drug ring, and Clinton's own security agents while abroad routinely solicited prostitutes, taking the call girls back to the same hotel their boss, Hillary Clinton, was staying in. One wonders whether Clinton and her so-called advisor, Huma Abedin, who never leaves her side, joined in the little parties. But this is only the beginning of the sexual escapades in Hillary Clinton's State Department. Ambassador to Belgium Howard Gutman routinely ditched his security detail in Brussels and solicited prostitutes, including minors. The initial suppressed Inspector General report charged Gutman with pedophilia, sex with children. When agents discovered that Howard Gutman was having sex with children, it was allowed to continue for months. Why? In a name, Barack Hussein Obama. Gutman was a high roller and contributed $500,000 to Barack Obama's re-election campaign. Was Gutman thrown in jail, ID'd as a sexual predator? Were criminal charges lodged against the State Department contractors in Iraq for drug use? Were any criminal charges brought against anyone?
Say.